All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for taking the time today. My name is Lisa Parento. I am your 2022 president for the New England region of the Residential Real Estate Council. Thrilled to death that you're here. Your time is very valuable, and I know that. And I really, really appreciate folks being here on this beautiful fall Monday. We bring this content to you guys, as you know, once a month now this year and part of last year. But we started Mastermind Monday early in the pandemic, and we did it weekly then. It was kind of a lifeline to seeing people somewhere, and have continued to catch up and to continue to keep it going. And I know we'll be going into next year, and very excited every month to bring you some great content. And this month, I am particularly excited to have Kim Allard, who we know from so many different areas. One thing I want to mention before I forget at the end is also hope to see many of you in person in a couple weeks. November 8th to the 12th is the National Association of Realtors conference in Orlando. Parts of it are being streamed. So if you want any information about that, if you don't know what we're talking about, please reach out to anyone that's here on leadership. We'll be happy to share our enthusiasm about attending. Oh my heavens, Craig Foley's popping in. Isn't that interesting? We have some great content, great things going on at the conference. It's always amazing to be with between 10 and 25,000 of the top realtors in the country. So that will be in a couple of weeks in Orlando. I hope to see you all there. But today we have the amazing fortune. Oh, and also thank you so much, Christine. Sorry, Christine McClellan, our official or unofficial CTO for New England region. Corrine Costanzo Wickel Costanzo is our network director for Cape Cod. Michelle Hagstrom is our vice chair for finance this year. And Ann Enos is our special events and sponsorship chair. Barbara Jaglinzer is our network director for Rhode Island. And we're also joined by Corinne Geiger, who is our RVP. So thank you so much, leadership, for also joining the call this morning. Let me now introduce Kim Allard, who probably does not need an introduction to anyone on this call. Kimberly has been, actually, your bio says 23 years. I don't know if that's correct. Is it more than 23 years, Kim, that you've been an active realtor?
It just feels like longer.
Kim has held so many volunteer roles, including some in the Residential Real Estate Council. She is a broker owner of Century 21 Professionals on the South Shore. Um, and is currently our regional vice president for National Association of Realtors, which is a pretty big deal. And it allows her to be kind of a conduit and a liaison between what's happening at national and folks here in the region, which is, of course, our whole region, the same region that we are in New England region, although Kim is also from Massachusetts. So I invited Kim in advance of NAR this year to come to speak with us and kind of share some of the major updates that are going on legislatively, politically, maybe a couple of rumors thrown in there. That's okay. We're happy to hear that. And get us even more excited about attending virtually or in person to National Association of Realtors. So I'm going to mute myself, Kim, and the floor is yours. Love to hear a little bit more about you and maybe your journey to how we got to here, and then to kind of share some updates. And then we're definitely going to leave some time for questions. This is just 30 minutes, so I'm sure it's going to go by too quickly.
Thank you. Thanks all you guys for having me. This is a great group, near and dear to my heart. And then, of course, anything for Lisa. So having said that, I don't know, my journey is very similar to everybody else's. I think when I first started, somebody said to me, "What board are you a member of?" And I said, "Oh, MLS." And they're like, "Yeah, that's not a realtor association." When I realized I had to pay realtor dues, I think I thought I was getting screwed, because I said, "I'm already paying dues somewhere. So what is this realtor thing?" And 23 years later, having joined local committees and becoming a local chairperson and then state president, local president, state president, and now, 23 years later, here we are. Clearly the best decision I ever made to be a realtor member. And then the volunteerism, of course, just it continues to give. People say, "Oh, I give back and I say, I don't even know if I could give back what I've learned from this association, but I certainly try. I'm humbled every day to work with folks like you guys. Many of you have been in the business way longer than I have. Some of you have just come in and just hit the ground running. So it really is a pleasure, a benefit, and an honor for me to now hold the role of regional vice president. New England region is region 1. And of course, we say it's number 1 for a reason, because we're the best. But my role will continue throughout the conference, and then it'll wrap up at the end of this year. I would like to bring attention to our RVP for 2023. It will be Joanne Breen from Connecticut. But in the meantime, you're stuck with me, so I'm happy to just give you really a rapid fire update of all things that NAR really wants us to know, and anything I'm sharing with you. You may say, oh, well, she only knows that because she's RVP. I only know it because I'm on the list of people to get it fed to me. But this information is actually out there for all of us. I'm your conduit for this year, but like I mentioned, this information is out there for everybody. So if there's something that struck you as being very relevant or something you want more information on, you feel free to contact me or go to nar.realtor. And that is the official site, obviously, of the National Association of Realtors, or you can reach out through your local association. But without any further delay, I've got some things here that I wanted to talk to you about. The economy, obviously, and the interest rates. Lawrence Yun, and I would love to take credit for all this, but this is Lawrence Yun, our fabulous chief economist, has indicated that as a result of the current interest rate environment and weaker economic activity, NAR does expect the existing home sales to decline about 15% in 2022 to about 5 million units, while new home sales are projected to fall about 20%. Now, limited housing inventory obviously is a big problem, and non-existent distress sales have really continued to support the overall prices of homes. But we expect that the prices will increase this year about 9.6%. So, it depends upon how you look at it. As far as what's happening, all real estate is local, as we like to say. These are national numbers, but people say, well, what's going to happen next year, Kim? And next year, Dr. Yoon has indicated that the annual median home price is expected to rise marginally, a little over 1%. He expects that home sales will pick up in the second half of next year, but overall will be down about 7%. So, anything can change between now and then, but those are his predictions. What's important for us to note is that NAR has estimated, and we've heard this number, that for each sale of a property, the median generated income in that area, or the economic impact, is over $100,000. And at least that number was about 113,000 in 2021. So let's talk about the local level. Massachusetts are, here in New England, we have one of the states that is in the top 5 with the highest income generated from a home sale, with being in Massachusetts about $191,000. In that group of the top 5, we have Hawaii at about 300,000, DC at 280,000, California 246,000, and then Washington at about 187,000. So, people can often complain about the high cost of homes, but every time a home moves essentially, there is an economic impact, and we're pleased with that impact. It's important, and we don't want to minimize it. Let's talk about more national stuff. Our president, Leslie Ruda Smith, was recently a guest at the White House for a meeting of really a diverse group of housing industry leaders, and this happened at the end of September, so September 21st, to look at viable solutions to the nation's housing crisis, affordability crisis, really. And this wasn't limited to, but included things like legislation, administrative, private sector, and state and local actions to address housing supply and affordability challenges. Many of us recognize that zoning, restrictive zoning, snob zoning, all of that can be a problem. So, you know, you need to know that your president, national president, Leslie Ruda Smith, was at the White House discussing these things. And again, way more information is available at nar.realtor. So head over there if you would like to read more about it. You should also know that, and just before that, the mid-September, the National Association of Realtors did send a coalition letter to the National Economic Council at the White House, urging reductions of FHA, the Federal Housing Administration's annual mortgage insurance premium, or MIP, and basically with the understanding that as the interest rates are rising and economic conditions are tightening up, it's critical, and asking FHA to reduce the annual MIP. So we have some relief for moderate income and first-time home buyers so they can remain competitive in the market. So let's talk about buyers in the market. We obviously have always stood for fair housing and everything that fair housing represents. But I would like to challenge you as our realtor members to be partake in a simulation. And I call it a game because it really was fun, but it is a fair housing simulation. And before you roll your eyes and say, oh, how dreadful, it really isn't. It's fun. Log on to Fairhaven let's see, it's NAR.realtor/Fairhaven, and I think it's Fairhaven.realtor as well. But again, visit Fairhaven by going to NAR.realtor/Fairhaven. And all you need is your membership ID, which allows you to log in and simply pretend on 4 occasions that once you're a buyer, once you're a seller, once you're a buyer's agent, and once you're a seller's agent. And in those 4 scenarios, you are able to participate in a simulation as if you're buying or selling a home. So you got through those simulations, and based upon how you answer questions, it determines how well you did. I don't know that there's any wrong answer, but answers that aren't as appropriate as correct answers, if you will, do lengthen the time it takes you to carry through the process. So I always say, challenge your broker owners or your peers to a little bit of a competition, print screen your results and say, that took me this long to complete the Fairhaven simulation. And there it is, no charge for realtor members. So what a great way of making learning fun and just making sure. I'll be honest with you, I thought it was going to be a breeze. I said, oh, I certainly don't get up every morning and say, hey, I think I'll discriminate. So I got on this fair housing simulation, and eye-opening, there were some thought-provoking questions. In fact, most all of them were. So even though you consider yourself a fair housing expert and you don't discriminate, put yourself in check. This is something for all of our members, just to demonstrate our commitment to fair housing as realtor members. So let's also talk about things that are eye-opening. You may or may not know that there are some pending class action lawsuits with the Department of Justice. I can say unequivocally, we as realtors always act in the best interest of our clients and the consumers, and these claims against us are without merit. Now, having said that, we still need to defend ourselves in our positions, and I would ask you to help us educate consumers, policymakers, and any other interested third parties on how our marketplace works. They're actually alleging that we are anti-competitive as an industry. And I don't know about you, but I have never once used anti-competitive as a way to describe our industry. I can't think of an industry that is more competitive, but yet at the same time, we're representing the interests of our clients and making sure that consumers are properly served. So let's, how do we promote equity, transparency, and market-driven, I should say, price options for consumers? Well, go to competition.realtor. That is another fabulous website. Check it out, and it will help you not only with your own business, identify how it is And I think Lisa is putting the links in the chat. So thank you, Lisa. Competition.realtor really will help you educate consumers who don't understand what our MLS is and don't understand what offering cooperation and compensation means to an efficient pro-consumer market. And it's the fundamentals of competition is our end of MLS, and it's actually one of the fundamentals. So people always think real estate agents get paid too much. I love it when somebody I know says, oh, I got into real estate and, you made it really look fun, or not easy, but great. And then they get into it and 3 months later, they're like, oh, are you kidding me? You didn't tell me about the hours. You didn't tell me about, the negotiations and the technical aspects and the liability and everything that I need to know to be effective. Sometimes people just think it's a lot easier than it is. So go to competition.realtor, help yourself be educated, help your fellow realtors, and then use it with consumers. So another piece of business. I don't want to say we're going to lighten it up, but let's talk about some other areas that have grave concerns. And obviously it's what's going on in Ukraine. People have asked us, we have a bilateral partnership in Ukraine with 49, I believe, or 50 NAR members. And the NAR board of directors has committed almost $20,000 of humanitarian aid. And many other individual realtors are doing so much to help our members in Ukraine. And all the information is available at nar.realtor. Just know we are aware and we are doing what we can at this time. We continue to look at every possible outlet to express support and our genuine concern for the folks over in Ukraine. And we do recognize that their lives will be changed forever by what's happened. So sensitive to that, and so many individuals doing things on their own or within their region, and we really appreciate it. Not only for Ukraine, but we have so many members nationally that we like to recognize, and NAR selects what we call a Good Neighbor Award winners who have made an extraordinary impact basically through volunteer works in their communities. And every year NAR announces 5 winners. They were already announced just recently, 10 days ago on October 6th, or 10 or 11 days ago. They'll receive a $10,000 grant and nationwide media exposure for their charity. And they'll be featured in the fall issue of Realtor Magazine. And they'll be honored at, I don't know if any of you attend the Good Neighbor Awards at our national conference that's coming up in November. I'll talk about that in a second, but there's also 5 honorable mentions that receive $2,500 grants. So first and foremost, make sure you know who this year's Good Neighbor Award recipients are. They really are incredible folks. And secondly, if you know anybody that is deserving of acknowledgement and does extraordinary work through volunteerism in their community, please do nominate them. But when is this all happening? So I know Lisa already mentioned, we have our flagship industry event, which is narnxt.realtor. Thank you, Lisa. November 11th through the 13th of this year will be held in Orlando. Every year it's somewhere different. Registration is open now. Hotel rooms, get your transportation. You go down there for a day, you go down there for a week. Great networking, great education, a lot of governance happening. But if you're not involved with that, certainly get down there and just do networking and get a chance to meet your fellow realtors. So before I leave you, I want to kind of talk about a couple of resources. We did talk about competition.realtor. So competition.realtor, helpful to you and to the consumer. Real estate commissionfacts.com absolutely helps explain how we get paid in our industry, how the competition is created, which is good for the consumer and helps the consumer make sure that they get, or sellers get. I think a lot of this lawsuit is alleging that sellers did not get the best possible prices and terms because of commissions, and that buyers somehow were forced to overpay. I don't know about you, but my buyers get a level of service that they would never get. And in some states, illegal for them to get if they weren't properly represented. And those of us that represent buyers deserve to be compensated. So realestatecommissionfacts.com, great resource. And then last but not least, the difference.realtor, explaining to the consumers what the difference is between a licensee and a realtor, and that there is a difference. And many of us have understood that from what we do for years, but it's often not in one place so that we can simply direct a consumer. Why are you a realtor and what's the difference? And the word is realtor, not realtor, right? How many times have you heard realtor? No, the word is realtor. And in New England, that's even hard for me to say. But anyways, the difference.realtor, great resources. None of this should be confused with our fabulous consumer ad campaign. And I'll go out with a plug for that. Who we are, the letter R, .realtor is our consumer ad campaign. And you should know as realtor members that we have suggested posts and copy and all sorts of assets available through Photify, which is an app, obviously, that a program that allows you to share the realtor message of who we are. Again, who we are .realtor. And just to give you an idea of the legs and the reach of this program in 2022 already has delivered 1.8 billion impressions since February. So we are no joke. The Realtor brand is no joke. Lots of tools, really just committed to your success. And so am I. So, and one thing I didn't tell you is I think we have Craig Foley on here, but NAR has a planting partnership with the National Forestry Foundation, and they have committed to planting 1.575 million trees on behalf of the National Association of Realtors. I'm not going to go into the details of that program or how that's even going to happen. You just need to know that that's happening. So what a great partnership. Lisa, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much, Kim. I mean, this has just been amazing. I've been like writing down a million things. I think most importantly, this information, as Kim said, is available, but none of us have it, on the tip of our tongues. And knowing that someone like you is keeping, really acting as this all important liaison, and you've got a great Facebook group that people can find. And I know you're available to answer any questions. But being informed in this situation is not just good for our business, but good for those that we represent. And that's, just so key. And thank you so much. I know there were some questions. Let me just ask people if they have a question to speak out. I know there was a question about, you gave some statistics about Massachusetts, and Anne from Rhode Island asked, is there a link that you can give the economic impact for all 50 states?
Well, off the top of my head,
And
no, but I will tell you that the research department of NAR has fabulous information, and I'm going to guess that they have that.
You can actually, Kim, you can grab them on the NAR website. If you go to research and statistics, or if you just Google economic impact NAR, you can search by state.
Yeah, Dr. Jessica has, I'm such a fan. Thank you, Shannon.
Oh, I know.
Dr. Jessica has fabulous information on just going to research at nar.realtor.
Yeah, and she also, if you ever have an opportunity to hear her speak or look at one of her webinars or attend anything, she really makes everything so accessible. And she's such a data nerd, but she really makes it fun and interesting, and always talks about her sister and her cats. And, she really brings it down to people stuff for sure. And yeah, thanks, Shannon. It's a great reminder that like a lot of stuff, like all the stuff, is on the NAR website. I'm like, we don't know where it is. Well, it's all there, and you just need to search and go there. And it's a great reminder, Shannon, for sure, because the people painstakingly have populated that site, and it really does. It's such an amazing wealth of information for sure. Other questions for Kim? Please don't hesitate. Kurt Thompson says, nice job. Outstanding information. You are a rock star. And thank you, Dawn, for that link. Any
Yeah, well,
other?
we have a little bit of a break, guys. We do have a Region 1 Facebook page that's designed not to compete with the NAR updates, but it's also designed to be a little bit more comprehensive than just your state Facebook page. So it's regionally focused, and anything you think the region could benefit from, I welcome you to join that page. It is a closed group. So you do have to answer a few questions, but you would love any Realtor member in the region. Please promote it. There it is, Lisa. Thank you very much.
Hey, Craig Foley, unmute yourself and share some more information about the class that you just added. Nice to see you, sir.
Nice to see you too, Lisa. Thanks, Kim, for the update. Appreciated. Yeah, so NAR just released a new 1-hour class. It's kind of, if you have done your commitment to excellence training, it was kind of modeled on that same kind of training, but it's significantly shorter. I don't know about the rest of you, but it took me 2 months or so to get through C2EX, and this, I got through in an evening. So it's been about a 10-month process to develop the class. I'm really, really pleased with the way it looks and feels, and would love to get your input about it. I'll throw the email address I use most often, but if you could check it out, go through it, and if you have any, ideas, thoughts, comments, please feel free to send them along to me. I was one of the course developers for it.
Yeah, I'm going to make a note of that too, because we can share that out with all of our members as well, Craig, because that's just a great resource. I think there's so much conversation right now about climate change and the impact economically. And I think just like so many of these things, just becoming more informed helps us with our clients for sure. And we thank you for all your green work, sir. I actually took my green designation with Craig Foley years ago. That was so great. All right. So anybody else got anything? Steve Larson, nice to see you. And you finished your home inspection. Good. Hopefully that went well. If not, I will say thank you everybody so much for your time today. Kim, you are a rock star. It was so great to have this update. If you're going to be in Orlando, we have our caucus on Sunday afternoon. Do you have the time or anything about that on Kim?
I don't have it in front of me, but it is definitely on. It's usually in the afternoon, 4:30 to 6, and it is on the agenda for the NAR. So if you're making your schedule, definitely come. We've been asking those that are in attendance, that are chairing committees or vice chair of committees, or maybe just even on a committee that has an action item. We've been asking you to speak. So come prepared to share.
Yes, I always fascinate people to the death with my business issue policy committee updates. Although that is some good stuff. So thank you so much. Again, thanks everybody. It was great to see you. We will be here again next month. We have an amazing mastermind next month. Hope to see lots of you in Orlando. We will be having an RRC happy hour before the member update on that Wednesday. So look for some confirmation or some information about that. And we appreciate you all. Thanks. Have a great week.
Thanks for having me.